Hi my dear friends, welcome back to another Python tutorial class. Now let us continue with the for loop. Here you have a string value that is penny paints purple pots with pastel patterns, and it has been assigned to this variable str1. What is the output required? Output required is, first of all, you need to have a list. This is a list, as we can see. Here you have the opening square bracket, and here you have the closing square bracket, and inside this you have the first word, which is penny. Then you have the second word, which is paints. Then you have the next word, which is purple. Then the next word, which is your pots. If you compare it with the str1, if you compare with the above string, there is str1. Then the next word is with. Then the next word is pastel, and then the next word is patterns. So all the words are individually taken out and being put up as individual elements of the list. Okay, so for this already we know the split function. If you use the split function, then it will basically split the entire string from the specified character and it will return a list. If nothing is mentioned, then by default it splits the string from the space character and returns a list. Here inside the split function, nothing is mentioned here. You see empty first brackets. So it will split the string from the space character and it will return a list. So like after penny, you have space character. So it will split this first word from the space character. And as we know that split outputs, the split, it returns you a list. So the very first element of the list will be penny, which is the very first word of the string. Then the next word is paints. On both sides there are spaces. There is on the LHS side of paints there is space. On the RHS side of paints also there is space. So here the split method, it will basically split this word paints from the space character and basically returns this paints word as the second element of the list. Same happens for the other words also, like purple is also returned here. Pots is also returned here as the fourth element. Like purple becomes the third element of the list. Pots becomes the fourth element of the list. With becomes the next element of the list. That is the fifth element of the list. Okay. Pastel becomes the sixth element of the list, as you can see here, and patterns becomes the last element of the list. That is the seventh element of the list. So how many elements of the list are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This we can directly do with the help of split function. But what if the question arrives that obtain the same output without using the split method? So that's when the for loop comes in very handy. So again here you see str1 is the same string value. Str1 is the variable. It is equals to the string value penny paints purple pots with pastel patterns. Now here first of all I have taken an empty string. Variable is reci. Variable is reci, and it has been assigned an empty blank string, that is this particular thing. And then in the next line lst1 is a variable to which an empty list has been assigned. Okay, so now if I apply the for loop here, for I in range 0 comma len of str1. So what will this actually look like? For I in range 0 comma, now the length of str1. Alien will do what? Alien computes the length. Here and inside the alien function, you have to pass the variable which has to be an iterable, and here the iterable is str1. Inside this, you have the string. You have the string value. Okay. So just for the reference, ln of str1, length of this str1 is length of str. Okay, you have to just first of all run this and then run this. 45. Ln of str1 is 45. And as we already know, the string, it basically starts with what start index. What will be the start index? It will be 0. Then the next index will be 1. Then the next index will be 2, and so on. And what will be the stop index of the string value? What will be the stop index of the string value? Now it will be 44, because the length of str1 minus 1, length of str1 minus 1, that will be the stop index of the last element of the string value. Here what is the last element of the string value? It is s. Okay, and already know what is the length of str1. It is 45. So if anyone asks you that what will be the stop index here, that is the index position of the last value is s. What will be its corresponding index position? Now it will be len of str1 minus 1. 45 minus 1, that is 44. Okay, so here it will be 0 comma first of all 45. And have I mentioned any step size here? No. So by default internally the step size will be 1. This will be positive step. Now now how will this basically go along? That is range 0 comma 45 comma 1. How will the sequence of numbers be generated here? 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, like this dot 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 up to 44, because 45 here is the stop value. 45 is the stop value which will be excluded. So Python will take up that value which appears just before the stop value, which is nothing but your 44, which appears just before 45. Okay, so I will begin its journey. I starts iterating over 0, then 1, then I will become 2, then I will become 3, last I will become 44. Okay. So now I starts with the value of 0. In the next line, what I've written here, if str1 of I is not equals to this space. Here you can see if, and the condition is str1 of I is not equal to this space, because ultimately my aim is to extract this word, this entire word, and then put it up in the list. Then extract the second word and put it up in the list, then extract this particular word and put it up in the list, and so on. So that's why I've written here, if str1 is not equals to space. Now if str1 of I, if str1 of I is not equals to space, let us check str1 of I. What is I here? 0. Now str1 of 0, str1 of 0 is what? Capital P. It is nothing but your capital P. Now capital P, is it equal? It is capital P is not equals to space here. Ultimately str1 of I is nothing but your str1 of 0, and str1 of 0 is nothing but your capital P. So capital P is not equals to the blank space, this condition, where before this you have the if, where before this you have if capital P is not equals to the blank space, condition is true, capital P is not equals to the space character. So here this if condition is true, satisfied. So the control goes to the next line, that is inside this if condition, goes to line number 7. So resi is equals to resi plus str1 of I. So what will happen here? Resi is equals to, what is resi here right now? It is an empty string. So empty string plus str1 of I. Str1 of I means str1 of 0, and str1 of 0 is nothing but your capital P. So capital P. So this will yield your capital P. Okay. Now if I equal to ln of str1 minus 1. So what is the value of I right now? The value of I right now is nothing but your 0. 0 equal to ln of str1, which is nothing but your 45 minus 1 means 44. So if 0 equals to 44, it's not, condition is not satisfied here. Okay, so as a result, the control won't go. That is, this if condition is not satisfied. So the control won't go to line number 9, and rather the control goes back to line number 5. In line number 5, when the control goes back, then I iterates over to the next value, which is 1. Okay, so now if str1 of I is not equals to blank space, now what is the value of I? It is 1. So str1 of I will be str1 of 1, and str1 of 1 is nothing but small e. Okay, so here instead of str1 of I, this will be substituted by this value small e. So how will this condition look like? If e is not equals to blank space, true, condition is true. E is definitely not equals to the blank space. So what will happen? The control will basically go to the next line, because the if condition is again true. The if condition is again true, control goes to the next line. Resi is equals to resi plus str1 of I. So what was the last value of resi? Last value of resi was capital P plus str1 of 1. Str1 of 1 is what? Str1 of 1 is nothing but your small e. So it becomes equals to pe. Okay, then what is the value of I right now? The value of I right now is 1. So again, this condition, if I equals to ln of str1 minus 1 is not satisfied, so control does not go to line number 9, rather it goes to line number 5 again, and the for loop continues. Now I iterates over to the next value, which is 2. So str1 of 2. Here the condition becomes if str1 of I that is not equals to blank space. That means str1 of 2, I is 2 right now. And what is str1 of 2? It is this small n. So small n appears here, that is substituted here in place of str1 of I. Str1 of I right now is small n. So if small n is not equals to the blank space, if small n is not equals to blank space, yeah, condition is true. Small n is not equals to blank space. So condition is satisfied. Control goes to the next line, and here what happens? Reci will becomes equals to reci plus str1 of 2. Str1 of 2 is nothing but your small n. Okay. Now I think you can observe that one by one the character, each and every character of the first word is been taken up, and string concatenation is happening. Then goes to the next line, again not satisfied, because right now what is the value of I? It is 2. So condition is not satisfied, so control goes back to line number 5 again, and I move, so I iterates over to the next value, which is 3. And here str1 of 3, which is nothing but your small n again, small n again. Okay. And here same condition, if n is not equals to blank space, so resi is equals to resi plus str1 of I, and it will yield what? Pen plus n, so it becomes your penn. Okay. Because the previous value of resi will be taken, which is pen, and right now str1 of I will be str1 of 3, and str1 of 3 is what? This small n. That's what will be picked up here, and it will be substituted in place of this one. Okay. So pen plus n will be penn. They can then control goes to the next line, line number 8. Is it satisfied? No, because I right now is 3. 3 equals to 44? No. Then goes back, control goes back to line number 5, and here I iterates over to what value? 4. So str1 of I. If str1 of I is not equals to blank space, what is str1 of I right now? Str1 of 4, because the value of I is 4. What is str1 of 4? Str1 of 4 is nothing but small y. Okay. So if small y is not equals to blank space, then reci is equals to reci plus str1 of I. Now what is the last value of reci? It is penn plus what is str1 of I? It is str1 of 4. Str1 of 4 is nothing but small y. Okay. And this small y is taken up, so it becomes penny. Then it goes to, so the first word, you can see the first word has been picked up. Now the control goes to the next line. If I equals to ln of str1 minus 1, condition is not satisfied, because what is the value of I right now? It is 4. 4 equals to 44? No. Condition is false. Now the control goes back to line number 5 again. I then iterates over to the next value, which is, your 5. So if str1 of I not equals to blank space, what is the value of I right now? It is 5. So str1 of 5, what is str1 of 5? str1 of 5, as you can see here, this index position is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what is the index position 5? At index position 5 you have the blank space character. So here ultimately you have blank space character. So what does this condition overall become? If blank space not equals to blank space, that's what I've written here. If blank space not equals to blank space, the condition is false. Blank space is not equals to blank space is not possible. Rather, the blank space is equals to the blank space. So in this scenario, the condition becomes false. So as soon as the space character arrives here, then and there, this condition, that is at line number 6, the if condition, it becomes false. And if this if condition becomes false, then the control will immediately jump from line number 6 to line number 10, that is to the else part. And whatever is there in the else part, that will be executed. So what is there? LST1 is equals to LST1 plus resi. So what will this become? LST1 is equals to, right now what is LST1? It is an empty list plus resi. What is the value of resi? Well, the value of resi, as you can see here, it is penny. Resi is nothing but your penny. Okay. and then I basically go to the next line and I ensure that reci becomes an empty string again because it has to pick up the next word. Reci, it has to pick up the next word, and that particular next word has to come up and has to be taken inside the list. Okay, so that's why I've initialized race is equals to an empty blank string. So the first word has been picked up. So this becomes equals to ultimately list comprehension, as we have already seen. List plus list will yield a single list, and here you have your first element, which is the first word. So in this way, now what will happen? The control goes back from line number 12 to line number 5, and in this way, paints, the second word will also be picked up. The second word will also be picked up, and as soon as the space character arrives, the control basically jumps from line number 6 to line number 10, because as soon as the space character arrives, this line number 6, it becomes false, not satisfied, because space is equals to space. Control jumps to line number 10 at else, and here list comprehension happens. LST1 is equals to LST1 plus reci. So right now, what is LST1? It is nothing but your penny. LST1 is already been populated, plus you have to do a list comprehension where list plus list will give you a single list. Inside that you have the elements. So only reci, if I take and I do not apply this square bracket, this one and this one, then list comprehension won't happen. Inside the list, the words being introduced or the words being inserted as the elements, that won't happen. That's why you have to ensure that the value that you have obtained here in the form of reci has to be enclosed within the square brackets. List plus list gives you a single list, which is list comprehension. Now, what is the value of reci? Reci has become pence. In the same way as we grabbed penny, in the same way, pence also has to be grabbed up. You can do your own analysis here. Take a pen and copy and write down how the for loop works here. Just like how penny got picked up, same way pence also will be picked up. Okay, so penny plus pence, and this will yield a single list, and this will be your penny comma pence. In similar way, purple will be also picked up. Okay, and always remember, once this is done, then ensure in the next line that reci becomes an empty string, because again it has to pick up the next word. So in this way, purple gets picked up, as you can see in the output. Then pots, this next word gets picked up. Then with, this next word also gets picked up as the next element of the list. Pastel, the next word gets picked up for this list. And then patterns. Now in case of patterns, you see, in case of patterns, what happens? First of all, patterns is picked up. Patterns has been picked up so far, assuming. Okay, not assuming, but rather, if you completely follow the cycle of this for loop, in this way, each and every word will be picked up, and finally, the last word, which is patterns, that is also picked up. Now, after patterns, is there any space character? No. In each and every case, after the entire word is completed, then the space character arrives, and then the entire word is taken up as the element of the list. So there is a necessity of space character, but after patterns, there is no space character. So what to do? What to do? That's why I have provided the code here. That's why I've provided the code here. If I reaches the final, if I, it basically reaches the final index position of the string, then again you have to do list comprehension in that. Okay, so definitely this entire word patterns, it will be picked up once I has reached here. That is, once I has reached the last index position of the string, which is 44. Okay, so currently the value of I will be 44. So if I equal to len of str1 minus 1, which is nothing but 44 only, we have seen. So 44 equal to 44. Now finally this condition is satisfied, becomes true, that yeah, the condition is satisfied, 44 equals to 44, and the control goes to the next line. LST1 is equals to LST1 plus reci. Already we have seen this. So LST1 will be equals to LST1, and LST1 will be what? LST1 will be ultimately your, from here to here. plus the last word will be your patterns, because patterns has been already picked up by Resi once the for loop has been, once the entire word has been picked up thanks to the iteration of the for loop. So here you have patterns. Okay, so ultimately this list plus this list will give you the final list, where you will have all these elements separated from each other by comma. That is, all the words you have as single elements, single separate elements of the list: penny, paints, purple pots with pastel patterns. Okay, then if you run this, then coming to this next line, next cell, str1 is equals to penny pens purple pots with pastel patterns. Now what is the output required? Again you require a list. Again you require a list, but in the reverse order. In the reverse order means here you compare this final list that you got: penny pens purple pots with pastel patterns. What is the last element here? Patterns. Now I want this to be printed in the reverse order. That is patterns should come first, as you can see here, then pastel should come, then with, then pots, then purple, then paints, and then penny. Okay, so the above code that we have written, the same has to be taken up and pasted here. The same thing I have written here, the same code above, from here to here, from resi to print of lst1. Okay, so once you print lst1, we will get our lst1 value. There's all these elements: penny, paints, purple pots with pastel patterns. Now now if I have to reverse this list, without reverse the list with the help of coding, with the help of for loop, not with any function. So what do I do here? I apply a for loop. For I in range, or before that, take up an empty list. Before that, take up here an empty list. This is the empty list assigned to this variable lst2. Now apply the for loop. For I in range, then inside the range function, alien of lst1 minus 1. Then minus 1 minus 1. What will this yield out? This range function, it will ultimately become range of I see. Ultimately, I will have to pick up the last word. I will have to pick up the last word, then then the second last word, then the third last word, and so on. And accordingly, basically place them in the blank list, in the empty list. So for that, I will have to start from the end of the list. That's why this minus one step size is required. And inside the range function also, you will have to go via the negative way. Okay, so ln of lst1, as we have already seen, what will be the length of lst1? You can see here how many elements are there: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Total 7 elements are there. So ln of lst1 will be what? It will be 7. Minus 1 also is there additionally here. Minus 1. So 7 minus 1 is nothing but your 6. Comma, here this is the stop index minus 1, which will be excluded. So just before this is 0, that will internally come up, and we are going in the negative way. So negative step says that is minus 1. So ultimately this will be 6. Then 6 minus 1 is 5, 5 minus 1 is 4, 4 minus 1 is 3, 3 minus 1 is 2, 2 minus 1 is 1, 1 minus 1 is 0, as we are going in the negative way. So it will start from 6, 5, 4, 3 to 1, 0. Why have I done like this? Because ultimately, as you can see, what is the length of LST1? It is 7. Length of LST1 is 7. And what is the last value of LST1? The last element or the last value of LST1 is patterns. Patterns is the last element or last value of LST1. And what will be the index position of this last value? The index position of this last value will be the length of LST1 minus 1. The length of LST1 is nothing but your 7, minus 1 is 6. So the index position of this last value will be 6. That will be the last index or stop index of LST1. As we already know, what is the index of this penny? This is the what is the index position of the first element? Penny is the first element of the list. What is its index position? 0. Then what is the index position of this second element? 1. Then what is the next index position of this element? 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and then 6. That's why I basically, configured the code as like this. This universal, wherever you go, you have to pick it up like this. You have to write your code like this only. Okay. To pick up the last word. To pick up the last word from the very beginning, you have to use the alien function and then -1. So in that way, the last word will be picked up. This is the last word, or you can say the last element of the list, which lies at index position 6. And how will you get it? Length of LST1, that is alien of LST1 -1. So 7, alien of LST1 is 7, 7 minus 1 is 6. Now, so I will first start with 6. Then after the for loop runs again, I will be 5. Then the for loop runs again, I will be 4. Then the for loop runs again, I will be 3. Then for loop runs again, I will be 2. Then for loop runs again, I will be 1. For loop runs again, I will be 0. So LST2 is equals to LST2 plus, here again the requirement is ultimately I need a list. Inside the list, all these elements are to be picked up without using any predefined function, using for loop only. So list comprehension is required here. So LST2 will be is equals to, here what is LST2 right now? It is an empty list as we have seen here. So this empty list plus within the square brackets, list comprehension means list plus list. So that's why you have to give the square bracket. Within the square bracket, you have to pick up the value. So how to pick up the value? LST1 of I. LST1 of I. So that means LST1 of 6, because right now I has started over its journey with the value of 6, then I will be 5 and so on. So right now the value of I is 6 because I is iterating over 6. So what is LST1 of 6? LST1 of 6 is nothing but your patterns. So these patterns will come up here. These patterns will come up here. So ultimately this empty list plus what will happen here? Patterns. So this will yield out to be patterns. Okay. Then I iterates over to the next value, which is 5. So LST2 will be is equals to LST2 plus again here a list. Inside the square bracket you have LST1 of I. Now inside this you have your patterns. Okay. And right now, what will be your LST1 of I? It is nothing but your LST1 of 1. Sorry, LST1 of 5. Because I is iterated over to the next value, it is 5. So LST1 of 5. And what is LST1 of 5? LST1 of 5 is this one, pastel. So pastel will be picked up. Pastel will be picked up. Okay. So just remove this. So now what happens? Patterns inside this is a list. Inside this you have patterns plus another list. Inside this you have pastel. So overall a single list will appear, and here list compression is happening. So the next element comes up after being separated by comma, patterns comma pastel. Then I iterates over to the next value, which is 4. So LST2 becomes equals to LST2 plus this square brackets inside LST1 of I. So what happens here? The last value of LST2 is taken. The last value of LST2 has already been updated to this particular value, patterns comma pastel inside the list, plus LST2 of I. LST2 of I means LST2 of 4. LST2 of 4 is nothing but this word with. So is equals to, sorry, with. Okay. So this, so now this list added with this second list. So patterns comma pastel comma with. Then I iterates over to the next value, that is 3. And as a result, it becomes LST2 is equals to LST2 plus this thing. So here, basically copy this and place it here. This is for your analysis, how the code internally is running. Plus LST2 of I. LST2 of I. What is the value of I right now? 6, 5, 4, 3. The value of I right now is 3. I forgot, that's how I try to remember. The value of I right now is 3. So LST2 of 3. LST2 of 3 is this one. This is 6th index position, 5th index position, 4th index position, 3rd index position. So LST2 of 3 is nothing but your pots. Okay. Is equals to your pots. So this will become your pots. Okay. You can continuously match it up with this final output that we are getting, patterns, pastel, with pots. Then I iterate over to the next value, that is your 2, and just copy this and place it here. So LST2 is equals to LST2, the last value of LST2 is taken, plus within square brackets LST1 of I. So LST1 of I. What is the value of I right now? The value of I right now is 2. So LST1 of 2 is what? LST1 of 2 is purple. So is equals to purple. Okay. And hence here again list comprehension happens. So ultimately this will be your purple, because already these things are there added with purple, and you get your single list where all these elements are now separated from each other by comma. That is in the reverse order of the previous list, which is your LST1. And patterns, pastel, with pots, purple. And in the same way, when then the for loop runs again from line number 17, the control goes to line number 16. Now I iterates over to 1. So what will happen here is basically with the previous, that is, let me show here only. Yeah, plus what will I will LST2, the last value of LST2 will be taken up. Okay, plus LST1 of I inside square brackets. LST1 of I is nothing but your LST1 of 1. And what is LST1 of 1? LST1 of 1 is your paints. So you have your paints. Okay, and that's what you will get here. That's what you will get here, paints. Okay, just then again copy this, because now for the final iteration of the for loop, now from line 17 to line 16 the control goes and iterates over to the final value of 0. So as it iterates over to the final value of 0, now I is 0. Okay, so LST2 is equals to LST2 plus within square brackets LST1 of I. So the last value of LST2 will be taken up here, plus LST1 of I. LST1 of I means LST1 of 0. LST1 of I will be what? What is the value of I right now? It is 0. So LST1 of 0, it is equals to penny. It is equals to your penny. Okay. So ultimately, this entire thing has been picked up in the reverse order. So ultimately, you will have here at the end, you will have penny. Now you can check with your final output. As you can see, patterns. So patterns, then pastel, pastel, with, then pots, pots, purple, purple, paints, paints, penny, penny. Okay, just run this. Then the next one is str1 is equals to the same string value, that is penny, paints, purple, pots with pastel patterns. Okay, what is the output required here? Output required here is that is output required is what? Output required is this entire string has to be the output requirement is the entire string has to be printed in the reverse order. Reverse order means this is the last word patterns which should come out first, then pastel should come out, then with, after that pots, after that purple, after that paints, after that penny. Okay, without a list. This was with the list. Now without a list, this entire string should appear, and what should happen in the reverse order. That is, the reverse order of str1 should be your desirable output. So already we have seen how to form LST1. Inside LST1, you will have the first element penny, then paints, dot 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 up to this one. Patterns will be your last element of the list LST1. So the same code that we have applied in the above cells needs to be pasted here. Okay, LST up to here. Now once you print LST1, you will get your LST1. This is your list. Okay, see, all the words are taken out as elements of the list. Each and every word becomes an element of the list. Okay, penny, then pens, purple, pots with pastel patterns. And here you have an empty string. Previously, this entire thing had to be within a list, but now without a list. Just simply a string value. That's what we require here. So again, go for the for loop for I in range, ln of lst1 minus 1 comma minus 1 comma minus 1. Already we have seen this above. How this thing goes. You see here, if you go above, already what will be here? Range 6 comma 0 comma minus 1, that is 6543210. Same thing, no need to discuss it again. We have I've very clearly mentioned that, isn't it? Ln of LST1 will be your 7. 7 minus 1 is 6. That's what appears here. And we know why 0 appears, and we also know why minus 1 appears. And internally this range value will contain these values 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 in this sequence. Okay. So resi is equals to resi plus blank space plus LST1 of I. Right now, the value of I is 6. So what will this look like? Resi is equals to resi, which is nothing but your empty blank string, plus the blank space character, plus lst1, lst1 of I. What is I? I is 6. And what is lst1 of 6? lst1 of 6 is nothing but your patterns. Okay, so that's what will appear here, patterns. So what will this yield? This blank string plus the blank space plus patterns. So this will be your blank space, and then you will have patterns. Okay, and this line number 17, that is this concatenation, string concatenation, which is happening here, it is inside the for loop, and the for loop has not yet ended. So the control goes back to line number 16 again, and the for loop continues. When that happens, I iterates over to the next value, which will be 5. So here what will happen? Res is equals to resi plus blank space plus lst1 of I. Now what will appear here? What will appear here? The previous value of resi. Initially resi was blank, but now resi is not blank. So here patterns will appear, and on the left hand side of patterns there is space, plus there is the blank space that I've given here, plus lst1 plus lst1 of I. What is I here right now? 5. So lst1 of 5 is nothing but your pastel. lst1 of I, which is lst1 of 5, is nothing but your pastel. Okay, it is your pastel. So what will this yield? This string plus blank space plus this particular string. Okay, that is this string where you have space and then patterns, then you have blank space, and then you have this string which is your pastel. Okay, so this will be patterns pastel. Space character has been included. The space character, that is this one, has been included here, and after that the next word, that is pastel, has been included. Then I iterates over to the next value, which is your 4, and now what will happen? Resi is equals to resi plus blank space plus lst1 of I. So this will be your patterns pastel. The substitute here, patterns pastel plus the blank space, this blank space, plus lst1 of I, plus lst1 of I. Okay, what will be lst1 of I? What is the value of I right now? I is 4. So lst1 of 4, lst1 of 4 will be what? lst1 of 4 will be this word with. So lst1 of 4 will be this word with. So ultimately what will happen here? This particular string value plus the blank space plus this particular string value, that is with. So it will be patterns pastel, then blank space character with. That's why intentionally, you see, I've included this blank space character here in the code, because the string value, all the words should be separated from each other by blank space. Then I moves over to the next value 3, and consequently pots will be added here. So it will be pots. Okay, because I think you can guess it already. 6543. Right now the value of I is 3. Okay, so resi is equals to resi plus blank space plus lst1. So that means patterns pastel width. Patterns pastel width. That's what will come up here. Give the space plus blank space is already included plus lst1 of I, and lst1 of I will be what? It will be pots, because you have lst1 of I. What is I here? I will be 4. I is right now 3. I is right now 3. So lst1 of 3. And what is lst1 of 3? It is pots. Okay. So lst1 of 3 will be nothing but your pots. So ultimately, that's how we are getting it here. Patterns pastel with pots. You see this particular string value, patterns pastel with, then further concatenated with the blank space character, concatenated with pots, and that's how we get this string value up to here. Patterns pastel with pots. Similarly, the next couple of words will be taken up. Paints will be taken up, and after that, penny will be also picked up. And finally, what will you have? Patterns pastel with pots, purple, paints, penny. This you will have. And how will you get this? Now, once the for loop is completed, for loop will be completed after I has iterated over 0, and then it jumps out of the for loop. Here you print resi. So the entire resi value is printed, and on the left hand side of patterns, you have the blank space. So to remove this blank space, we can implement the strip function. We have already seen in our previous string methods classes, string functions classes, how to implement the strip method. So here simply print, inside the print function, you have to write resi, then dot. With the help of dot operator, we can access the string function. What is that function? Strip. And then in any function for Python, you have to enclose it with the single brackets. So print resi dot strip. Strip method or strip function will strip any blank space character from either side of the string, from left hand side of the string as well as from the right hand side of the string if the blank space character exists. So here the blank space character, it exists on the left hand side, that is on the left hand side of patterns there is the blank space character, and that will be stripped out. So when that is stripped out, this entire string value, it will be shifted further towards the left. So as you can see here, there is this indentation difference between the above output and the below output. This entire thing shifts more towards the left. Okay, so if you run this cell, hit shift plus enter, then here you come, str1 is equals to penny paints purple pots with pastel patterns. Now here what I am trying to do here is just I'm trying to use the uh, defined user defined functions, or the predefined, not user defined, predefined functions of Python. That's what I'm trying to implement here. So a is a variable, it is equals to str1 dot split. What will the split method do here? It will basically split the entire string from the space character, and it will return a list. Okay, so print a, it returns a list. Each and every word returned as a separate element of the list. Okay, now I want to reverse the list. So a is equals to a, then within the square brackets, you have to mention this double colon. Okay, that is this double colon, then this double colon, and -1. Okay, this will be your start. This is the start index. This is the stop index. No need to mention. Python automatically will catch what is the start index here and what is the stop index here. You just have to write the step here -1. So automatically this entire list will be now reversed. So if the entire list will be reversed, then patterns will come at first, then pastel will come up, as you can see here, then width will come up, then pots will come up, then purple will come up, then paints will come up, and the first element of the first element here, the first element penny, will now come up here as the last element of the list. So your list has been reversed. You can check it by printing a. So print a, and you will get your list in the reverse order. Okay, now take another variable b. B is equals to the blank space dot join A. So join function already we have seen. What will this function do? Join. It will join the elements of the list with the specified character and return a list. Okay. So what is the specified character here? It is the blank space. So the join method here will join the elements of the list with the space character and return a string. You have to mention the list here. The list here is nothing but A, which is this particular list that we got in the reverse order. So here the elements of the list will be joined together with the space character thanks to the join method. Okay. So between patterns and pastel there will be space. Between pastel and width there will be space. Between width and pots there will be space. Between pots and purple there will be space. Between purple and paints there will be space. Between paints and penny will be also there will be also space. And this join method ultimately returns a string. You have to pass a list here and it will join the elements of the list with the specified character, which is in this case the blank space, and returns a string. So if you print B, you get your string value. You get your string value. There is patterns, pastel with pots, purple, paints, penny. Same thing we got here also, but here we did not use any kind of predefined functions of Python. Rather, without using them, we applied the for loop. But now, if you just try to apply the predefined string methods or functions, in this way also you can get your result. Okay.